First, we start with a wide shot. This places Rhea and Teardrop within the car and allows viewers to see the police lights in the background. Keep in mind that the community that Rhea is from does not have a good relationship with the police force, which oftentimes characterizes them without the notion or understanding of the sense of place the people in her community carry. Next, we have a close-up. This close-up is of Rhea. It shows her looking back and forth between the police car and Teardrop as he is still driving, refusing to pull over. Rhea represents truth and abidance. She wants him to pull over, whereas Teardrop, whose face carries skepticism, is weary of pulling over in fear of his own life and his family's. Next, we have a full shot. This places the cop car, the sheriff out of the car, and Rhea and Teardrop in the car, which is pulled aside in front of the sheriff in the middle of nowhere. It provides scenic context and allows you to position the scene in your head. After that, we have a mid-shot. This puts the sheriff in the back of the truck moving forward, while at the same time frantically looking for any weapons. It shows the matched skepticism of the sheriff with Teardrop. After that, we have a close-up. Teardrop is framed with a gun to his side, positioned so that the officer can see it in the mirror. This is also seen in a close-up of the rearview mirror later on. Teardrop is non-compliant with the request of him to get out of the truck, knowing that he had something to do with his brother's death and that he could be in trouble as well. Next, we have another close-up. This close-up frames dialogue between the sheriff and Teardrop, with Teardrop talking, saying that he knows the sheriff ratted out his brother and had him killed. Next, we have another close-up. This one is of Rhea's face. It shows the sadness and anger in her eyes and facial expressions when she realizes that he is one of the people responsible for her father's death, the same person so intent on finding him. Next, we have another close-up. This one shows the sheriff's face after Teardrop accuses him and the immediate draw of his pistol, the look of fear on his face, likely what caused him to draw his gun. He says, "I know you. I know your family. Get out of the car now." This almost comes off as a threat to the rest of Rhea and Teardrop's family, an omen that he could make death a reality for them too. Next, we also have another close-up. This one has Teardrop in the mirror with his rifle exclaiming, "Is this going to be our time?" Meaning that if he goes down, so does the sheriff. And lastly, we have a mid-shot. It shows the sheriff's dumbfounded look on his face as Teardrop starts his truck, drives away, and leaves him there standing in the middle of the road. Now we ask, how does this relate to a sense of place? A sense of place isn't concerned with whether or not a place is fancy or if the community itself is entirely safe. A sense of place relates to the meaning developed with spaces and how those memories create a meaningful existence. Rhea and her family, although poor and living in a house that many may define by the word shack, find meaning in living in their home, a place that is filled with memories of growing up, some that include her father playing his banjo for them. It is the authority figures in Rhea's community who define her home as being meaningless, nothing to them but a drug-filled problem. For them, her community is in need of dire remedy, and in response, authority figures, like the police, create bad rapport with the members in trying to root out the making and selling of drugs, which for many is the only form of income they can produce. The police don't see the good in the community, the togetherness with neighbors, the alliances between families, and the resilience in people like Rhea, who try to be better than the place they are from labels them. It creates a conflict between authority and community, one that can even turn fatal, as we see with the sheriff and the way in which he is responsible, partially, for her father's death. When her father, in retrospect, is only trying to turn himself around. Or also in the scene I proposed, where the only safety against authority figures is taking up arms yourself, as Teardrop does with his own gun. Rhea and her neighbors, although sometimes engaging in conflict among themselves, represent the part of society held down by authority and oppressed by unfair stereotypes. In most instances, they work together, even if it means going against the rules of their gangs, to help each other hold on to their property and homes. The authority represents the stereotyping part of the community. It creates false meaning without analyzing the source of oppression that holds these communities down, which oftentimes the source of oppression being the authority figures themselves.